The Photics web guide starts with the basics of HTML. And as you flip through the pages of the basic HTML chapter, many of the tags are explained. However, there isn't a listing for the sarcasm tag. The sarcasm is not mentioned anywhere in the book. That's because it's not a standard HTML element. Well, it seems to not be standard. The Web Hypertext Application Technology Working Group publishes the HTML standard. And in that documentation, there are two mentions of sarcasm. The first is related to the Q tag. That's the quotation element. It puts curly quotes around quoted text. That element has its own story. The main point here is in the description. It says the Q element must not be used in place of quotation marks that do not represent quotes. For example, it is inappropriate to use the Q element for marking up sarcastic statements. This is the essence of HTML. What is the semantical meaning of the HTML element? They're basically boxes that give structure to the web page. A header has a different purpose, a different meaning than a paragraph tag. That's obvious. There's a big headline, and there's a paragraph. So, when a search engine visits your website to index your web page, it knows the words in the headline should be treated differently than the words in the paragraph. It's the same for people too, as that's how you can skim a web page. You can look at the headlines on a blog and then decide which articles are more interesting to you. So if these boxes have meaning, what about sarcasm? Imagine two paragraphs. They both have the same words, but the use of sarcasm creates two different meanings. Here, I'll read it two different ways. The first, with no sarcasm. More video game consoles are going all digital. That is such a great idea. I really had to struggle to read that line straight. And now I'll read it with sarcasm. More video game consoles are going all digital. That's such a great idea. Do you hear the difference? With sarcasm, it's actually saying the opposite. So, who cares? Why does this matter? It's because of artificial intelligence, notorious for hallucinating. It could read this text and get the meaning wrong. For those of you that speak multiple languages, did the auto-dubbing work? Did it convey the sarcasm in the other audio tracks? A popular topic lately is how AI could destroy humanity. What if it's over something stupid like the robots not understanding a joke? That's why I think sarcasm should be treated seriously. But in humongous irony, the HTML standard does mention a sarcasm tag. It says, take a deep breath, then act as described in the any other end tag entry below. What? That's a joke, right? If only there was a sarcasm tag that clarified the situation. This is actually an open issue on GitHub. It says, clarify whether this specification is being serious. That's issue number 11592. Well, here's something that's even more interesting. You could theoretically add sarcasm tags to your web pages today. This website already does something crazy like that. YouTube uses all sorts of custom HTML tags, like this one, YTD Watch Flexi. That's not a standard tag. But when it comes to styling, CSS can still select those elements. That includes the non-standard sarcasm tag. So, sarcasm could be highlighted with a wavy line, a different background color, or even a smirking emoji at the end of the element. The question is this: should web developers and web designers do that? That's a tough question. The purpose of this video is not to stage a sarcasm tag protest. Personally, I'm not as sarcastic as I used to be. I have other ways to be funny. Yet, I do think this topic should be seriously considered. Some might say that clarifying if something is sarcastic kills the joke. But the reality is that tone is used. When being sarcastic, my voice changes. I smirk. People can notice the difference. The problem is this: can people with screen readers detect sarcasm? Can the robots detect sarcasm? It is kinda cute that there's a joke in the HTML documentation, so this is not about ruining the fun. But when I look at my website traffic, it's a lot of robots now. This is becoming an issue. Perhaps it will solve itself if the machines can better detect sarcasm, but why take a chance? Do we really want a Grey Goose scenario because of a misinterpreted joke?